Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us. We're here with Brooklyn Legal Services Corp-A, Alex Nippenberg. We're here to talk about the HAF program, the Homeowner Assistance Fund, and an update on the moratorium. My name is Rosalinda Gutierrez. I'm from Cypress Hills Local Development Corporation. I will be talking about the Homeowner Assistance Fund, and we would have Alex Nippenberg talk about the moratorium update and some other information that he has. If you need to reach us for any type of services, you could call the number 718-647-8100, and we could gladly assist you. Just letting you know, we're gonna record this webinar and everyone will be muted. If you have any questions or we would address them at the end, or you could just put them in the chat. To start off, for those who do not know us, we are Cypress Hills Local Development Corporation. We were founded in 1983. We're a not-for-profit organization. We provide many services for young and older residents. We're a HUD-approved housing counseling agency, and we have different and various programs, from youth and family services to childcare to career education, college success. Our office is the housing counseling team. We have community development, community organizing, and our business partners. Here's our website. You could check out all of our programs. So to dive right in, what is the Homeowner Assistance Fund? Probably many of you have heard this in the news or in social media. It's a state-funded program. It was created under the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021. The purpose of the program is to mitigate financial hardships associated with the pandemic. Homeowners can apply for this fund to cover mortgage arrears, utility arrears, property taxes, anything that would gear the homeowner into foreclosure. So this is to prevent that from happening. The state of New York was awarded under $540 million, but we're still waiting on the U.S. Treasury to actually approve our application and for the funds to be dispersed. The program is, like I mentioned before, it's to help homeowners who are at risk of foreclosure or displacement. And the funds are eligible for, mortgage arrears, forbearance payments, property tax arrears, homeowners association, and maintenance arrears for condos and co-ops. They're not limited to, but once the program opens, we'll have a better sense of what the homeowner can apply for, depending on their need. So a little bit more information about the program. Eligible homeowners would be those that their forbearance programs have expired or they're about to end. Homeowners who were not offered a forbearance program because their mortgage lender was not participating in the program, or if they missed an option and made them delinquent. Homeowners without a mortgage, but they have to pay property taxes, water, insurance. Also, those with reverse mortgages are eligible to apply for the program. Homeowners who live in co-ops or condos who are delinquent in their homeowners association dues or maintenance fees can also apply. Homeowners who live in manufactured home communities that are also delinquent in loans, we can also help them to apply. So eligible applicants may apply for the amount needed to achieve an affordable modification to satisfy the mortgage arrears with this, because they had a reduction in their income. So now this mortgage payment is unaffordable. The maximum allowed per applicant is $50,000. And again, this would help the homeowner pay for principal, interest, taxes, insurance, homeowner association fees, and other housing costs. And I want to just let people know again that these are for applicants who are at risk of foreclosure and have no other reasonable or affordable repayment option. And we need to demonstrate that you will be able to make your future housing payments. Also, if you have any, like I mentioned before, any seniors with reverse mortgages are able to apply. If you could please mute your mics, I'm so sorry. And the application process for the Homeowner Assistance Fund, they're asking that the homeowner first work with their mortgage servicer to try to get a retention option, like a loan modification, a principal reduction, etc. If that application is denied and there's no other possible option or anything that's affordable, then the owner can apply for half. The owner can actually apply on their own for this benefit, but if they have or need any assistance, we are here to help you. It's going to be online through a portal. The portal has not been open yet, again, because we're waiting for the US Treasury to actually disperse the funds to the state of New York. Once that happens, then the portal will be made available for anyone to apply. If it gets a little tricky, again, the housing counseling team is here to support you and guide you and help you in any way possible, working with your mortgage lender or applying for the Homeowner Assistance Fund, either or. They're here on the presentation. We have a link with more information, more details for you to read on at your own pace. I will put it on the chat if you guys would like to read about this information, and they have it in various languages. So just want to introduce our housing counseling team and thank you for being in our workshop. Again, my name is Rosalinda Gutierrez. I'm the foreclosure prevention counselor. We have a senior tenant counselor, Juana Iris Revis. We have another housing counselor, Holly Josephs, who helps homeowners with other housing issues such as repairs, property tax issues, any violations in the property. And we have the Housing Counseling Division Director, Renee Arlane, who's actually here. Our office is located at 3214 Fulton Street. Please give us a call to schedule an appointment, or if you have any questions. Due to the pandemic, we cannot take any walk-ins. Unfortunately, we would love to help you, love to guide you, but it'll only be beneficial if you guys call for an appointment. So I'm going to pass it on now to Alex Knippenberg to talk about the moratorium update.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alex Knippenberg. Thank you, Rosalinda, so much for introduction, and thank you, Cypress Hills, for having me here today. Let me share my screen. All right, is everything good? All right, good evening, everyone. As Rosalinda said, my name is Alex Knippenberg. I'm a staff attorney at Brooklyn Legal Services, Corporation A, and I will be talking today about the current state of foreclosures in the state of New York. I'll be talking about forbearances and what is happening as forbearances expire, and any other legal updates. So a little bit about Brooklyn Legal Services Corp. A. We're a nonprofit legal service provider. I'm a staff attorney at the Consumer Economic Advocacy Program, where we have a couple of different programs. We do foreclosure prevention, where we assist homeowners who are in foreclosure in legal proceedings, in settlement conferences, as well as full litigation. We also do bankruptcy work, where our main goal is also to preserve homeownership, where we assist homeowners with filing bankruptcy and getting loan modifications in bankruptcy court. And we also have a lower income taxpayer clinic, where we assist constituents when they have a dispute with IRS or New York Department of State. Okay. So first, I'm going to talk a little bit about history during the pandemic of what has been happening with forbearances, and then the same thing about what has been happening in court and what is happening now. So when the COVID-19 pandemic began, immediately there were several federal moratoriums that were instituted, which affected all of the federal-backed loans, such as FHA, Fannie and Freddie. There's a difference between federal forbearances and private loan forbearances. Federal were mandatory, private were not, but almost all the private loan servicers instituted their own forbearances as well. You could request a forbearance even if you were behind on your mortgage prior to COVID-19. That was allowed, but now unfortunately most of the forbearances are expiring. Almost all of them are coming to the end, so a lot of homeowners are obviously asking questions what to do when the forbearance expires, or what to do if they cannot afford their mortgage anymore, or what to do if the servicer demands that a lump sum payment must be made. As the forbearances end, there are several options on how to proceed. One of the main ones, servicers should not be able to make you pay the entire amount due. So if you were in forbearance and you miss a year of payments, a servicer should not be able to tell you that the entire year of payments is due right away, and they should be reviewing you for different loss mitigation options. Federally backed mortgages such as FHA, Fannie and Freddie are required by federal law to come up with different solutions, such as extending the loan term, putting a balloon payment on the end, or having you to apply for a loan modification. If you have a COVID-19 hardship, you can submit a letter to federally backed mortgage servicer stating that you have a hardship, and a lot of times you'll be reviewed basically for a modification even with no income. And as long as you can afford it, that should be fine. If you do not have a federally backed mortgage, do not panic. There's a law that was passed in New York State, which requires even the private servicers and guides what they're supposed to do if you were in forbearance and if you're coming out of forbearance. Also, to determine if you don't know what kind of mortgage you have, you should always reach out either to housing counselors or free legal service providers who can help you with that. Housing counselors like Cypress Hills or different legal service providers like us, they can help you determine what kind of mortgage and what kind of options you have. So New York State passed a law that governs the behavior of mortgage servicers, which are not covered by federal guidelines. It is known as the Banking Law Section 9X, and it governs what mortgage servicers must do when the forbearance ends, and it applies to all private lenders and investors, as long as they're governed by the New York Department of Finance, and most of them are. The law tells servicers about what must happen in the end when you're coming out of forbearance, and one of the requirements is that your forbearance, the reason you were put on forbearance was because of a COVID-19 related hardship, and you suffered through a COVID-19 related hardship, and now the forbearance is ending, and you must make your payments again. The requirements are similar to the federal mortgage requirements, and the goal of this was to fill in the gap, which is not covered because federal guidelines don't apply to this. So here was what the law does. Section 9X allows the borrower to select one of the three repayment options for COVID-19 related forbearance, and below the specific details. Once your forbearance ends, you should contact your servicer, and first thing, they have to offer an extension of the loan term by the number of months that the loan was in forbearance. If that cannot be done, then they have to review if you can repay the arrears accumulated during the forbearance on a monthly basis. So have a repayment plan where you can pay more. Then, if that cannot be done, the next thing is they will have you apply for a loan modification. And if you succeed, then you will be given a loan modification. Only if all those loss mitigation options are done and none of them end successfully, only then can the lender try to either demand the payment in full or proceed with any other court permitting actions. So that's basically the forbearance now. So if you were in forbearance due to COVID-19 related hardship and the forbearances are ending, one thing is to determine whether you have a federally banked mortgage or private mortgage, because that will determine on how you should proceed. And once you determine that, you should reach out either to your servicer directly, and you can try to do it yourself, or you can reach out to housing counselors or legal service providers who can help you determine what your options are. But to sum it up, there should be several options that are available to all borrowers, and the servicers and lenders should not be demanding the payment in full if you were on forbearance before. So that is for forbearances. Now we'll talk a little bit about court moratoriums and what happened when the pandemic started, and what has been going on with court activity now in both Queens and Brooklyn, and what we can expect in the future for foreclosure cases. So when COVID-19 pandemic started, immediately all the courts were closed for all cases, or general to the public, or basically none of cases were proceeded. There were no future court dates, no foreclosure settlement conferences. All the foreclosure auctions were suspended and prohibited, and new foreclosure cases were not allowed to be filed. Eventually, after a couple of months, the courts initiated COVID conferences to determine if, people had any hardship, but nothing really came out of those conferences, and it's unclear how much impact they had on any ongoing cases. Then in December 2020, Governor Cuomo passed the first foreclosure moratorium. That meant that in all foreclosure cases, or cases where a homeowner is behind and the case can start, as long as a homeowner files what is known as a hardship declaration, an existing foreclosure case could not continue and a new foreclosure case could not start without the declaration being mailed to the borrower first. So if you had an existing foreclosure case, if you filed a hardship declaration, it would stay your court action. Or if your lender was going to initiate a foreclosure action against you, first they would have to mail you a hardship declaration, and if you sign it, they could not start a foreclosure action against you. Initially, this moratorium was set to expire in May. However, it was extended first. It was extended until the beginning of September, where basically all the same rules applied. In as long as you sign the hardship declaration, no new cases could be filed, and existing case could not continue. There were expectations that the moratorium would not be extended. However, that proved to be not the case. The new governor in September extended the moratorium until January 15, 2021. So there currently still a foreclosure moratorium in place. Again, it means if you do sign a hardship declaration, then your case cannot continue or a new case cannot start. Of course, if you don't sign, then and if you don't have a COVID-19 related hardship, then your foreclosure case can continue in the same way. Or if you don't sign one, a foreclosure case can be started against you. If you have a current foreclosure case, you can still file a declaration at any time, and it'll suspend any court activity until January 15, 2021. Of course, this does not prevent you from still seeking settlement of your case. So if you want to settle via loan modification or any other methods, you're still allowed to pursue that, even if you have the COVID-19 related hardship. As Rosalinda said, HAF is coming in soon, and you can apply for HAF funds, where either you could be provided with enough funds to reinstate your mortgage, or you could be provided some funds together with a loan modification, which can be used for that. So there's that.
Alex,
Uh-huh.
it's 2022, right? January.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, January 2022. Correct. I'm sorry, I put 2021. Yes, the hardship has been extended until January 15, 2022. So no court proceedings will happen until then, as long as you file your hardship declaration. Thank you for correcting me. In case of individual court updates, Queens resumed its settlement conferences process back in April of this year. And if you haven't filed your hardship declaration, cases have been proceeded, all of them remotely in a regular fashion. And as I say, you can still settle cases even if a hardship declaration has been filed. So all cases are remote, and all appearances are done by Microsoft Teams. If case is no longer in settlement conference and with the judge, then before proceeding with anything, regardless if you file the hardship declaration or not, a COVID conference needs to happen first. So if you file the hardship declaration, nothing will happen until January 15, 2022. If you're not, the court still needs to have a COVID-19 hardship conference to determine if you suffer from any hardship related to COVID or not, regardless if you filed or not. So Queens cases have been moving a little bit smoother. In Brooklyn, the situation is not great like that. So if in Queens, settlement conferences resumed in April of this year, in Brooklyn, some conferences only resumed about 2 weeks ago or so, and most cases are still not resumed. And they're still in a standstill, even though almost 2 years have passed. Although, not obviously, they haven't resumed in court, but nothing prevents homeowners of trying to settle their cases outside of court. Additionally, in Brooklyn, for cases that are no longer in settlement conferences, there have been hearings scheduled to determine if a homeowner has a COVID-19 related hardship. So for some cases where a hardship declaration has been filed, the court is now demanding to see their financial proof or any other proof. And these hearings are being treated as hardship hearings as well as status hearings on cases to determine if any settlement is possible. No hearings has occurred yet. First of those hearings are scheduled for the end of October, so we can't really say what happens during those hearings or what is supposed to happen. Those were the court updates. Last thing I wanted to talk about today is the tax lien sale. So basically, when you fall behind either on your property taxes or sometime on your water bill, the city can eventually accumulate that amount and sell that lien to a private trust, and then that private trust can eventually start a foreclosure action against you. Okay, sorry. So when the pandemic started, the tax lien sale was canceled in August of 2020. It was first moved to September of 2020, but it was canceled then as well. There were no new dates, and the tax lien sale did not happen in summer of this year again. However, we just recently, a couple of weeks ago, we learned that New York City intends to proceed with the tax lien sale this December. Organizations and different legal service providers, as well as housing counselors, are petitioning the elected officials at this moment to try to see if the sale can be canceled. If it's not canceled, then, and if you are on a tax lien sale, then eventually your lien can be sold to this private trust who can eventually file for foreclosure action against you. If you are in danger of the tax lien, your lien being sold, you need to reach out again, either to housing counselors or free legal service providers who can assist you. They can assist you to determine if you are in danger of the lien being sold, and then they can guide you and tell you what you need to do. So first, you're supposed to be provided with a hardship letter. So if you're delinquent on your property taxes and you are in a lien sale, you can file the hardship letter and you will be taken off the sale and they will not proceed with the sale against you. You can also enter into a repayment agreement with your Department of Finance. Generally, depending on your financial situation, it's always better to enter into a repayment agreement before your lien is sold because the terms are much better and you will pay a lot less. And there are also other ways to get to get yourself off the lien sale. For example, if you're a senior, you can get an exemption. If you have a disability, you can also get an exemption. But the easiest way is to basically send a hardship letter, and you can download those forms if they don't. If the New York City Department of Finance doesn't mail you one, you can reach out again to different legal service and housing counselors for assistance who can help you download this form, fill it out, and then send it to make sure that the tax lien does not happen. So this was basically a presentation on the forbearance agreements, the current state of foreclosure moratorium in New York State Court, and a little bit of an update on tax lien sales. Below is our contact information if you need to reach us for any questions or concerns, or if you need help with foreclosure or any related matters. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. So I would like to ask questions like, I know you spoke about the COVID-19 hardship declaration. If homeowners haven't received that, because I think homeowners were getting it in the mail, such
Yeah.
as tenants, if they haven't received it, but they would like to apply, is there anywhere that they could get that application so they could submit it that will protect them?
Yeah, homeowners free to download, fill out the declaration, and send it either to the lender or to the attorneys for the lender if the attorneys are represented. If homeowners are having trouble, they can reach out us or you, see where to get it. But generally, a quick Google will direct you to a website of New York State Court website where you can download this form.
Thank you for that. So you were saying that in Brooklyn, the cases are kind of opening up more than in Queens. I guess
would say the other way around.
Oh,
Queens has been a lot more fully open, and the cases are proceeding in a good manner. I think that's better because it gives the homeowners a chance to, see a judge, determine if they can settle or not. While in Brooklyn, basically almost nothing has happened since the pandemic started. And for homeowners who don't know what to do, their arrears are accumulating and their cases are just sitting there and nothing is happening. So I don't think that's a good thing.
so people in Brooklyn, if they had like a foreclosure auction that was postponed because of the pandemic, should they worry? Do you think that auction would happen?
Yeah, so they should be a little bit worried. They should file a hardship declaration if they can, because it appears that foreclosure auctions have resumed in Brooklyn for some cases where a hardship declaration has not been filed. They should file a hardship declaration which will prevent any foreclosure auction on their home until January 15th and further. And they should seek out legal help as soon as possible to see if they could potentially qualify for a loan modification, even if a foreclosure judgment has been granted against them. As long as the home has not been sold at the foreclosure auction, they're still the owner and they can still pursue things like bankruptcy, where they can file for bankruptcy and ask for a loan modification. That, of course, depends on your financial situation. If you're unemployed and if your household income is not enough, that could potentially prevent you from getting a loan modification. So, but regardless of your situation, I would encourage everyone to seek free legal assistance from legal service providers or from housing counselors, even if you have a judgment foreclosure sale, to determine what options are available to you.
Yeah, I think most of our homeowners are worried because they are still unemployed. Unemployment benefits already ended, right? forbearances are coming to an end, if not already ended. So I think their main concern of trying to apply for any retention option, they're, it's slim, like getting a positive outcome, it's like slim to none. I guess that's their main thing, like how, if they weren't able to, cure the forbearance payments, would you think that their cases might move forward for foreclosure?
Yeah, unfortunately, if the household income prevents someone from getting a loan modification, and if they're denied, most likely lenders will start foreclosure proceedings. Probably not until after January 15th because they have to go through the declaration first, and if the declaration is filed, then they cannot start anything. But if retention options are denied, then most likely foreclosure actions will start. Although half can help with some of that because it does have a program for people who are still unemployed, and there's a forward payment component of half where people who are still unemployed, I believe there's several months of forward payments that can be given to people who are still looking for a job with half. So
Okay.
that can be used. But that of course depends on how much or the arrears are and so on.
Yeah, this is true. Thanks, Alex.
Since there's a limit, right?
Yeah, the maximum homeowner can apply for it's 50,000.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure because most of our, most of the homeowners, going through financial hardship, they actually went through the whole forbearance program, the whole 18 months. So it could be, right, more than 50.
And in New York, considering what the mortgage payments are, so for a lot of the homeowners, I think it will be pretty close. Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else has a question? And Renee added in the chat that the tax lien sale, they're not going to include the water sewer charges. It's only going to be property taxes.
Mhm.
Yeah,
If it still happens, I think there's a
postponement.
somewhat last minute push from a lot of organizations and coalitions to have it canceled. I believe that's what happened in August of 2020 when there was a big push to cancel it and the sale was canceled. It's still scheduled for December 14th, so there's still time, but there has been pressure put on elected officials to cancel it, and we'll see what happens.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. Right.
Okay, so there are.
I guess I just want to mention one more thing for
Sure.
tax lien sale. So before foreclosure action and tax foreclosures were very different. If you are in a regular foreclosure action, you are entitled to a settlement conferences, and many cases do end in settlement conferences where you get a loan modification, the case is done. For tax liens, this was never the case. For tax liens, they generally went straight to the judge. There were no settlement conferences or anything like that. It went straight to litigation. But now the law has been changed, and if you're in tax lien foreclosure, you are also entitled to settlement conferences.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you, Alex, for all of your information, your help. And thank you, everyone. This is, like I mentioned, this is going to be recorded for anyone you would like to share it with, any homeowner that you think this information would benefit. And I think that's about it.